Unbiblical is the magic word amongst Christians. If anyone has different religious belief than you can easily trust them without any consciential problems, because they are unbiblical. An example is people who believe that people are killed in hell. Technically, this is indeed unbiblical, but it's also indeed biblical at the same time. First, I will prove you why it's unbiblical. Revelation 14 verse 11. And the smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever. There will be no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and its image, or for anyone who receives the mark of its name. But the thing is, Revelation 14 verse 11 is unbiblical in itself, in the sense that there are other verses that blatantly contradict it. Matthew 10 verse 28. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Of course, there are hermeneutic ways to avoid this verse and all other verses alike. Though even if you think hermeneutics is totally legit, you still need to account for the word used for hell in this instance, Gehenna. There was a real place on the actual earth that was named Gehinnom, which in Greek is described as Gehenna. This was the place where several evil kings were said to have sacrificed their children. The place was considered cursed for that reason. It is said that people start leaving their garbage behind in this valley, because it's a valley, and convicted criminals as well. And sometimes people would light the heap of garbage on fire so as to destroy it. This is, of course, debated. A lot of people say that this didn't actually happen. It was just made up. But it does not really matter, because it is most definitely the image that the ancient Jews had of this place. During the time between the Old and New Testaments, during the time that you were taught in school there were no prophets, the Jews started developing their concept of hell, and they started calling it Gehenna, after the place I just mentioned. And Gehenna in Jewish writing was practically always conceived of as temporal. There's one writing of one rabbi who says that he believes that people would always spend less than a full year in Gehenna. And pretty much all rabbis believe that either all souls in Gehenna are getting destroyed, or that some of them get admitted into the proper afterlife eventually. This is the intertextual context of what Jesus says. When Jesus says Gehenna, it has a lot of intertextual baggage. It would be wrong to ignore that. When Jesus says, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in Gehenna, people of this time period would have indubitably understood it as Jesus validating that time's beliefs about hell. But you might say, it says in the Bible that there will be an eternal fire, and that is correct. It does say that. Jude verse 7 from the King James Bible. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Normally I don't quote from the King James, but for this verse the NIV gives a rather dishonest translation. Suffice to say that a lot of modern translations are just the text to fit established doctrine, so the King James, even though it's clunky, does come in handy sometimes. So what we see here is the fire of Sodom and Gomorrah being referred to as eternal fire. And you know, that's quite funny and or strange, because they are not on fire anymore. They have been destroyed. God has put an end to the wicked, and that's indeed very awesome. But why then is this fire called eternal? I have two explanations for this. First I'm going to explain what I believe, and then I'm going to give you the true explanation. What I personally believe is that the fire of hell is indeed eternal. The fire of hell, I think, is part of God himself. You see, God really hates wickedness, and he cannot stand it. Eventually there will always be a moment where God will just be like, no more. And then he just finally puts an end to it, as a sort of reflex almost. It's part of his divine nature to do so, I believe. And in that sense, the fire is eternal, because this part of God's nature will always be there. God will always have the eternal fire with him, or in him, or something. But that's what I believe. It's not the truth. It's a fan theory, really. Here's what's really going on. It's really a linguistic issue, apparently. Quote, when the adjective aionios, meaning everlasting, is used in Greek with nouns of action, it has reference to the result of the act, not the process. The phrase everlasting punishment is comparable to everlasting redemption and everlasting salvation, both scriptural phrases. No one supposes that we are being redeemed or saved forever. We are redeemed and saved once for all by Christ with eternal results. In the same way, the lost will not be passing through the process of judgment forever, but will be punished once and for all with eternal results. Unquote. Even though I don't really get how fire is also a noun of action, I think I stand by those words. They make Christianity acceptable.